Is it okay if we start recording, or you guys want to hold off on recording for a bit?
I'm fine to start.
Okay. So I guess Jim is not here.
I can send him a message. No, I'm gonna put a note into Discord, letting know everyone we're starting, and I'll see if I can get a hold of Jim.
Okay, it looks like Tomslav is having mic problems. So NutZipper, I also don't know how by having, whether there is 1,000 something stake or 2, 4, 16, whatever stake, whether the I guess what Kent was saying probably was that you can get to the results quicker, but I don't know with what certainty he knows that, because he said that, and then he said, but even if we get there quickly, we should still run the tests anyway with the 1,002, 1,004, those numbers to be able to have comparable results. So that's kind of what I want to do now on DevNet. But you were saying that should not matter at all. Is that what your comment was? I have not looked at it yet.
I just don't know how is it different if you use 1,000 base bond amount and 0. So that was my question.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I also don't know how or why that would.
Well, maybe because 1/3 is it's more easy. Well, I have to think, but maybe it's more easy or more difficult to reach 1/3 because actually bond amounts are quite different. If you use
actually the new number, like what is in the dev branch, or not dev branch, but that synchrony constraint branch is 0.51, not 1/3. That was the push that Ken did about 12 hours ago. Because remember, with the 1/3, we were still getting to some rabbiting looking behavior after 14 hours with 1 second proposal wait times or whatever, right?
Could you please remind what's characterizing the rabbiting behavior? What is this?
Well,
because
basically, let me show you a graph. I guess that Sebastian showed. Oh, that might explain a lot more, or a lot better than what I can say. Basically, node 4 in that scenario was working better than the others, meaning in a node 4 would get its. Let me share my screen. Okay, see this? I mean, it may not come through really nicely, but for 14 hours it was working fine. And then you see that there's a linear increase. This is a linear scale graph. So there's a linear increase. Oops, what did I do? I guess I got out of that. There's a linear increase in the proposal times for everybody except the red one on the bottom, which is node 4, is increasing at a slower slope than the other than the other nodes. That we're calling rabbiting behavior, that node 4 is able to get through its proposals, whereas the others are slowing down. Even though node 4 is also slowing down, the others are slowing down a lot more. That's what was going on. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So basically,
this was run. This was run with 1/3 stake, with Danier's change of 1/3 stake, and the bonds base value set to 1,000, like you were doing. Now let me show you how this graph looks in my current run of past 12 hours. If you bear with me for a second, I need to share a different thing.
So there is a result with from the last run with the 51%.
Yeah, with the 51%. So here is what's happening, right? All of them are basically running about the same. There's no rabbiting behavior. They're all running about the same. And the proposal times are staying much lower, kind of below 1 second, or below, most of the time about a half a second or something. But the thing is, there's nobody running ahead of others. And these are the create block times, and these are the add block times. So that's what we're saying. Now, what is different between what I showed you before versus this also is the fact that I made the base bond size 0 instead of 1,000. So what is different between the previous picture and this picture is that each node is either half or double of the next node, kind of a thing. So you could say the magnitude of total stake available to each node is different in this scenario on a relative basis. But I don't think that, I don't know if that makes any difference or huge difference at all. And Kent thought it should not. He was suggesting this as a way to get to results quickly, but I don't completely understand the rationale of that. But you can see, like, we started last night at 9 o'clock. And then this is where we are on this. Does it make sense compared to the two pictures, between the two pictures? So this picture was looking, I think we were looking at this one, the proposed times was what we were looking at. In the previous picture, it was going up on a slope, whereas here it's staying basically constant. Now there is an issue still we're trying to do, which is basically there are a lot of proposals that are not categorized as to whether they're being rejected because of insufficient stake or whether they're failing for some other reason. So Sebastian is improving that tagging on the failures or on the rejects. He's trying to separate reject for insufficient stake from other things so that we can understand really what's going on. Because about 80% of the proposals are not getting through in this mechanism, in what's going on here. So even though the rabbiting behavior disappears, I guess the next thing we're investigating is to say, is that rejection or failure of large number of proposals, is that intended or is that not intended? That's what we're trying to find out. Does it make sense?
Yeah, actually, I experienced a large number of proposed failures due to insufficient stake. So my guess is that increasing number of failures is waiting for stake.
Right, because especially, I guess the more you were working with the 1/3 stake and you were seeing a lot of that, and if now we increase the stake to half, we should see even more of that but at least that would be kind of intended behavior or intended result. And then Greg was going to work from, once we have this result, Greg was going to figure out how to either fine tune or implement a reasonable stake that gives us both performance and not as many rejects, I guess. So that's kind of where that's at.
Let me rejoin real quick.
Okay. Should I stop sharing, or does anybody have any more questions and comments on this?
That was helpful. Thank you, Rao.
Tomislav, is your mic working or no?
Thanks. Yeah, do you hear me well, or?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, that was helpful.
So anyway, so I'll stop sharing.
Okay.
Unless somebody has questions. Does anybody have any questions on that?
The only question I have is just a clarification. So, and I think I know the answer. So when it was 1/3 stake, there was less rejections. So as that staking increases, you're getting the rejections keep going up, and now it's at 80%, correct?
That is correct. But of course, our goal in doing all of this is to eliminate that rabbiting behavior.
Right.
And now we have to find a balance between the two, between seeking too much stake or too much of rejects versus.
Right. Okay.
And now, one thing I would say is that the statement you made, we don't know with certainty. That's the reason why Sebastian is fixing the PR, to be able to distinguish reject due to insufficient stake versus other reasons. And now that out of the 80%, how much of that is insufficient stake? I guess we will know once that PR is in, once we are able to separate the reason for failure.
Yeah, and those, so that's having those tags assigned to the rejects will help us categorize everything. So
correct.
Okay.
Because what we're trying to see is there some other reason unrelated to the staking that's causing problems? Because we can say, we could, if we move from 1/3 to half, the problem went away, but maybe not. And that's what we're trying to investigate as a second level issue.
Okay.
And Rao, when you say that is rejected because of inefficient state, you're talking about state that is necessary to include in justification. Or?
Yes.
Stake. So it's the rev stake. So not state, but rather stake, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stake of the validators, right?
Right, the validator stake, whether it's 1,000 rev, 20,000 rev, so forth. Okay.
Yeah, and it's when it's insufficient. You're talking about justification in the block, or inefficient in some other way.
No. So justification in the block, meaning a block that doesn't have sufficient stake. That's like in this scenario, in the later scenario that I was showing, is 51%. That block is rejected, right?
But why would validator create such a block if he knows that it doesn't have
no, so that's the thing, right? I mean, basically there are two things. There needs to be a slashing behavior for that type of a thing, which is still, I don't think that's implemented yet, but it's a ticket that's being worked on. I don't think we're well, actually, no, we are slashing right now, right? Not Zipper, that's what you're seeing, is that people are being slashed? Or are you only seeing that a block is rejected but a validator is not slashed?
Yeah, I'm seeing that validators are slashed, but I don't understand why are they slashed.
Well, they're being slashed probably because they're proposing blocks they should not be proposing. I mean, just a thing that Thomas was saying just now, which is you're not supposed to propose a block without the 1/3 stake, and if you go ahead and propose anyway, then that's a slashing behavior or behavior
But
that calls for slashing.
isn't proposing without 1/3 stake disallowed in the code? Why? No, they're proposing while they have no 1/3 stake in the justification.
Yeah,
When
that's a good question. Why? Yeah.
It shouldn't be this.
Okay, so you're saying it should be just part of the justification, but not the slashing behavior. Is that what you're saying?
No. I see that if node is slashed, if they propose a block without 1/3 stake in the justification, they will be slashed. So, but currently, if node try to propose and don't see 1/3 stake in the justification, propose will throw waiting for more.
Oh, waiting for more justification, is that what you're saying? Or more stake for justification?
Like more deploys, or no? Yeah, other blocks.
Yeah, actually, I guess I should check with Daniel on whether we are or not slashing at the moment. Let me see if he's still around. He may not.
Okay.
I'll stop sharing.
Greg was saying that this will not be like complete slashing of validators, but in some there is like a condition when you don't want to slash, right? Or this kind of.
Right, the partial slashing.
Yeah, he was talking about partial slashing, but I don't know if that's.
And and he was talking about when you have problem with the network, that there is also a situation when you don't have other blocks and you publish some block.
Right. I think you guys are not seeing my screen right now, right? Or are you? Because I thought I was in the share mode, but maybe I stopped sharing. Okay.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. No, that's fine. I was not intending to share, but I just wanted to see where I was. I don't have anything new to share, but I just want to. I guess Daniel is off. I can check with him later.
Okay.
But I guess I was trying to understand not Zipper's question really.
Yeah, I think what he was trying to say was this: when you try to deploy with insufficient stake, you'll get an error kickback to you saying you can't deploy because insufficient stake. So to say that you're going to get slashed due to insufficient stake, you should it shouldn't get that far, because the validator shouldn't even have been able to deploy to begin with.
So, NutZipper, were you able to correlate those two events? Like, were you able to see if a particular validator proposed and he got an error saying insufficient funds and then got slashed, or there's no correlation between those two?
I don't think so. I'm not sure what the cause of this slashing, because as they posted in the dev Discord, there are a lot of proposals that end up with cannot propose because there is no sufficient stack, and there are only maximum 7 slash events on one node, 5 on 2 on second node, and on one node there is 0 slash events. I'm not sure why there are different number of slash events on different nodes, but I don't think any correlation between this.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I mean, so I guess to answer Tomslav's question, one is not being, or a validator is not being automatically slashed if they propose a block with insufficient stake. That's one thing. And I guess the second, I mean, this is just a guess. I don't know. I have to, Daniel is not around, nor is Kent, but I have to check to see what the details are. But I'm guessing if you completely ran out of your funds, maybe you're being slashed at the time or something. I'm not sure. I don't know if you got that far.
You mean validator without funds, or?
Yeah. If they propose. I mean, obviously it's some other rule than not 1/3 stakes. Seems like that's what is coming into play based on what NotZipper said, right? Because he's saying there are like tons of conditions where it's insufficient stake, but the amount or number of slashings are relatively very small.
Yes, and slashing actually, at least from what I see in the error message, leads to ignoring the validator. So I don't know about the stake of this validator. Is it diminished, or but if a validator got slashed, it just like non-existent, became non-existent to the current validator.
Yeah, I think maybe when we slash a validator, we should probably improve the error messaging on it, or the state of the validator should be somehow presented to say, here's what this validator is at.
You mean after slashing?
At the time, yeah, at the time of slashing. If you are slashing somebody, you should be able to say.
So I mean, is there a situation when you slash a validator, but he still has some stake? I was thinking that when you slash a validator, he loses his stake. Stake 0.
Yeah, not necessarily. It could be a partial slash, so he could lose a partial. If I recall.
Yeah, but in this situation, he's still a validator with less stake, right?
Right, and it's waiting for the system to catch up to verify that he's legit. His proposal was legitimate, and then I guess he would receive those funds back and no longer be partially slashed. But you bring up
why would he get found back? I was thinking that when you partially slash a validator, he loses part of the stake, but he will not get it back, right?
Right, and I think it was going back to when did Greg give an explanation of what the partial slashing was? It was either yesterday during the community call or Monday during Casper stand up. It's partially slashed and partial funds taken away. The partial slash is because it's not. It's because of the system is slow or system issues. It's not because of the validator. So when the system catches, and the validator has no control over certain conditions. So and so overall, the platform doesn't know if this is a true slashable event that the validator is trying to do something mischievous, or if it's just system slowness related. So the platform doesn't know which one it is. So instead of completely slashing the validator, it says, okay, I'm going to partially slash you and for 10% until I find out which is the case, if you're being mischievous or if it's a slow system. So if the validator is being mischievous, then it becomes that partial slash becomes a full slash, and then all of the stake is taken away. But if it's due to the system slowness, then the validator the stake is put back, and the validator is made whole. So, and then he continues on as normal with the platform. So that's how I understood it.
I see. Yeah. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And as about more logging, I will share my screen. This is what I saw. So basically, this is a POS method / call with some parameter ignored for now. from which I made a conclusion that after this slash, this validator should be ignored. I don't know about if he loses his stack or it just lower down or
Right.
whatever.
Well, and that's where additional messaging would be helpful as far as what the state is. So, Ryan, when you talk about additional messaging, so if there's a slashing event, if it's ignored, is it a partial slash or is it a complete slash or a full slash? So, that's one type of distinction that could be made, and then if it's a partial slash, at what percent or and of the stake was taken, and then if it's a full slash,
Yes.
what stake was taken. So I think so after Sebastian adds the tags to the error, or not the errors, but the rejects, rejected blocks or deploys or proposes, then perhaps you can move on to some more robust messaging to help clarify some of these responses that are being provided to the validators.
In first place, it's not clear why validators can be slashed just trying to propose deploys. So it doesn't cheat. So it's obviously some bug.
Well, I mean, it could be, but the thing is, you are seeing that they are able to propose without being slashed, right? So we don't. I guess we need to figure out.
But they are able to propose if they have enough stake in justification, and if they don't have enough stake, they don't propose.
Right, but I'm saying
there is a slash. Yeah, might be there is a slashable event if a view on a DAG is different from point of view of two different validators, and one validator think he has enough stake, and another validator actually don't think that this block has enough stake.
Yeah. Now, I think Danier's response to your comment was inconclusive, right? I think he is going to investigate, or he was asking Kent a question on that.
Yeah,
is that where it stays at this point in time?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So I guess we just wait for them to resolve that as to what behavior is leading to those slashing events in your case. And I wonder if there are any slashing events in my logs from the last 12 hours on DevNet. I have not looked for those.
I'm just reading the contract which is doing this slash, and this is the block hash which is slashed, and I think that validators ends up with 0 bonds at the end. But there is 3 different like events: pending rewards, committed rewards, and all bonds. I'm not sure.
Are you running tests on the DevNet?
Yeah, I'm running it on DevNet. You can certainly look at the logs there if you want to. What I'm trying to do now is capture the screenshots and then shut down this round of tests and then go with.
Yeah, I can see. I just opened the Node 1 logs on the DevNet, and I don't see any deploys for about 10 hours there. Let me show you. So here is node 1 DevNet logs. You started today night. It was maybe yesterday for you, and here it is. There was some deploys of deep contract, blah blah blah, and so that's it. We have no deploys.
So when was the last deploy on that? Because the
14:30. It was about 13 hours ago.
okay, so we started, I think, around 9:30 our time, 9:30 Eastern. So that's about exactly 13 hours ago now.
So maybe there's something with the
but I started with bonds base equals 0. So
no, but it doesn't depend. So there should be messages that node received new deploys. It just received several deploys in the beginning, and then just deploys stopped. There must be some issue with the auto-propose script, which is deploying data. Or data is being deployed with the propose. So basically, for 13 hours, node 0 cannot propose. Yeah, I guess this is the explanation. This was the last deploy, and which node is trying to propose to the moment for 13 hours. And it looks like the node cannot get enough stake for 13 hours. There's no slashable events here. The node 2 also. And the node 3 also. Node 4 also.
So everybody stopped deploying after.
Yes, they deployed, they proposed, I guess they proposed several blocks, and after that, you should look into how to propose script logs. My guess is that it shows that cannot propose because not enough stake. The same thing that I had on the sandbox.
Okay, so you were seeing not enough stake.
Yes, on all nodes. We can look into the DAG. So node proposed 1 or 2 blocks and stuck.
Stuck due to insufficient stake?
I think so. Because actually, so you're running the same run deck infrastructure on the DevNet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're running auto-propose job. Auto-propose job is being executed every second, or?
Yeah, every second. Mm-hmm. Every second on dupe.row.
Every second, and you're deploying dupe.row. So basically, when this is executed, it tried to propose. It failed to propose because there isn't sufficient stake, and it should propose again. So we should see a lot of new deploys here. So my guess is that this auto-propose script failed, or we should see a lot of deploys here.
Now, I'm trying to think. So what I did there was I first changed the auto-propose script, and then I guess we can look in the log. And then I started the nodes, and then I think I may have hit the auto-propose again, but that should not make a difference, right? It should still take the most recent auto-propose.
You changed because could be you disabled auto-proposing.
No, I just reran it. I don't know if that makes a difference between before and after. How do you do it? Because Kent said it doesn't matter what order you do that in.
It doesn't matter. It's just calling RNode CLI on the server without running RNode. So it tries, it can connect to the server. And when you start the server on RNode, it finally succeeds in deploying. So you shouldn't.
So the order of when you start nodes versus when you start auto-propose does not make a difference, right?
Yes.
Or does it?
I think it doesn't.
Okay, so wait, what we can
I believe it doesn't. But I guess you should check if stuff is actually working, if proposals are working, because we have no deploys in 13 hours.
And you're doing deploys to all validators, right? Not only one.
That is, yeah, that is correct. All 5 are auto-proposing, or should be auto-proposing, and
I'm just thinking that if only one validator is receiving deploys, it will definitely stop to propose, right? Because it doesn't have any other blocks to make a justification. Right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
so what I'm doing now is I'm restarting with I'm not restarting necessarily, I'm just changing the auto-propose.
Can you check the auto-propose logs? There's a job to see auto-propose logs and what's it saying.
Yeah.
Show auto-propose logs.
Show auto-propose log. So it says show maximum number of log lines 20. Should I change it to 200? I don't know how many lines it normally has.
I think 30 is okay.
30.
Could you share your screen?
Yeah, I will. So 30.
Actually strange why it doesn't deploy first. But as we can see, yes, it looks like all validators are waiting for more blocks.
So do you think it's because the 51% stake is stopping everybody dead, or what?
Yes, because no one have a block with 51% of stake in this justification.
Now we can, I wonder, I don't think this thing has a parameter for.
It became real quick after 2 or 1 block proposed.
Right. Right. I don't know if this makes any difference. But...
And we didn't see slashing, so it looks like it's not tied with slashing. It's just how it works. Somehow, after node being proposing block doesn't have 51% of stake. So we should investigate how exactly is block weight is calculated.
Right. So do you think it's okay now for me to auto-propose, change auto-propose stuff to go with the other the 1,000 oh, that was, where was that? That's in a different location, I guess.
You can look at the last run parameters in the recent runs if you're looking for it.
In the dashboard or in the...
Yeah, in the job, your open job, and in the button you have recent run and current runs or last runs or somewhat. And there are all runs listed.
Oh yeah, recent,
with the
okay.
parameter.
Recent and then running I have. So there's activity. Here, let me share my screen. So 9:18, 9:17 p.m. Or 9:19, 10:42 is the one, right? That's what we're talking about.
It's just it was.
Oh, that was what we just did. Okay.
Yes. So do you want to change the bonds amount?
Yeah, I want to change the bonds amount. So for that, I have to go to the network thing, I think, rather than the...
You should restart the node, actually.
Right.
Restart the start node and restart the whole network.
So should I stop? I think yes.
Yes.
But I don't know that I want to clean data right now, so I'll leave it.
Actually, I guess you should, because bonds amount are changed and bonds file is changed. And if you don't clean, the bonds file will be the same.
Oh, wait a minute. So here, oh, clean data is referring to this configuration data also, not just the other stuff. So for me to capture the pictures, is there a quick Chrome plugin or something that can give me, or yeah, Chrome plugin that can give me a PNG picture of the screenshots that I was trying to take on Grafana? In any case, I think Grafana is not going to lose the graphs if I restart here, correct?
I'm not sure, but there is a nice plugin, Lightshot.
For
not a plugin, but just a application, Lightshot. Are you on Windows?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lightshot screenshot. It's nice.
Okay. I mean, I normally use the print screen, but then the print screen, the question is, if I put it in Word or something, people may not like, WordPad or something, people may not like that. Okay, but let me just continue with stop node clean data. So this should be. Anyways, so while I do this, we can talk to any other items. And then maybe in a little while, we can come back and see if this produces any logs that we can look at. Tomislav, you were, I guess Sebastian and you were working together to figure out what to do. Does anybody have a sense of how disruptive it would be if we break the current API to the community? How disruptive?
Well, I was just suggesting renaming the namespace. That's my point. Because I seen that he created v2 definition protofiles, and with my tool, I was trying to just generate TypeScript in the same way, but previous version of API v1 is we don't know exactly which types are used for responses. So I had difficulty to distinguish these two versions. So this is why I was suggesting to fix the namespaces when we are like creating a new API. And after that, there was a question, right? Should we change? Do we need like two versions if we are changing the existing API? So I can just share how this looks like from one API or the other. Where is my Zoom? So you can see here. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
So this is one. This is v1, and this is v2. The difference is like minimal. you see the difference in the name of this response types.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But this is like minor change. So at the end, any tool that uses API and do this conversion can, you know, convert to existing code. So the question is now, you know, how we deal with these changes. And I'm interested to discuss how will this be in the future when we change API and want to support this for clients. And because these libraries, like binding libraries, they can do all of this heavy lifting to you know, present this to clients, to end users. You know, you have new, like they can create some warning messages and say, you know, you have new API, you can you know, convert or you know, they can offer some kind of nice descriptions. Or
yeah. So did you get a response from Sebastian on that, or?
yeah, now is the question: do we want to change existing API just in this with this pull request? Because we can support both versions without changing the existing one. But I would like to have like these namespaces, like short namespaces, not the namespaces used in Scala, generated in Scala code.
Right, but I thought also was your comment. I thought I saw a comment by you on the PR that said, you know, we might as well break it now than later, kind of thing. But I guess you were saying if we can't, or if we don't want to do that, let's at least do shorter namespaces so that we can have both of these usable. Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, I didn't understand you fully.
No, I thought part of your comment, I was reading through that PR earlier, and I think you started off saying that it's okay to break the API now to be not backward compatible, right?
Yeah, I was just, you know, thinking that now we don't have like 0.1 version, so these kind of changes are expected, right, at least for me.
Yeah, so that's kind of what Chris and I were thinking also, that it may be okay to just not deal with this version 1, version 2, but just go with breaking it. But of course, for future, we still need to have a solution that says, well, how do we deprecate an existing API and go with a new API, right?
Is that like what Tomislav was talking about?
Right,
like
that's basically what Tomislav is talking about. So I think Sebastian may be thinking of it as one or the other, but I think we need to do both. We may need to both break existing API and implement a proper namespace convention to make sure that in future we can have a deprecated API and a new API running side by side, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that was my reasoning, you know, when I was thinking that when we are changing API, why don't you in the same?
Sorry,
I
feel there is some confusion. I understood that introducing namespaces, which is proposed by Tomislav, this breaks the API. And this is the thing that he wants to do, and he is asking if it's okay to break API.
Yeah, yeah. Because now we have these long namespaces which are used in Scala. You see this like the whole domain and everything. And I was just thinking, you know, we can define just Casper and that's it. It's more in the way how you defined APIs and these like a long namespaces are specific to Scala or to Java. That's why I was saying maybe later we want to have like a different namespaces, and you know we will must break API.
Right.
Did my correction make sense? So from what you said, I understood that you thought that these namespaces aren't breaking old API.
Yeah, because your generated code will have these namespaces inside.
Right.
And you will need to change these namespaces. But this is like a minor change. You don't have to change anything else in that sense. You just change the namespace and everything else is working. And if we just replace the existing API with version 2, then the change is a bigger change. It's not just the namespace, right? That's the point.
Right. Okay. So did you get a response from Sebastian on that, or that's still in discussion, or what?
This is now open question. Sebastian was saying that he's more to break it and just create another one without keeping the two versions.
Well, the two versions is an ongoing problem, right? We cannot eliminate that. Meaning, in future, like I said, we need the deprecate and new working side by side.
Yeah, this is not a problem in the future. Yeah.
Right. So that, I think that is the solution we need to implement, whatever will be a long-term solution.
Yeah.
And I think
in the future we can easily create a new namespace and create different API, because now we have all of these types like defined in the proto files. They're not inside the either and somehow hidden, right? So it's much easier.
So when Sebastian and I spoke about this, what he said was basically I put a comment in the PubR chain development asking more people to feedback into this that is being suggested. And Sebastian was thinking maybe we'll give them the weekend or something to respond and then move forward. Is that a sufficient time frame, you think, for, because we did ping or tag the specific people that we thought may be interested in about this change. Do you guys think that the weekend is sufficient that we can move towards a decision and implementation and break the API, or do we need to give them more time to respond?
I believe it's enough, and I believe we can break it right now because everyone who is working with the API will be happy to have a type safety.
Yeah, I don't know who is using API now, and
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's basically where we are right now, is that Sebastian also wants to close it, and so do I. We'll probably go through the weekend and then just move forward with the changes and let people know that this is the new one and this is what they have to change if to be compatible with the new one.
Yeah. This seems reasonable, totally.
Yeah.
And this change really simplifies working with these responses for each service method. So it's not very difficult to fix to fix existing code.
Mm-hmm. Tomislav, could you please expand more?
Yeah, sure.
Could you please expand more on the reflection stuff? What will a reflection introduce for end users? If we enable this on the server side and we have all response in the protobuf types, what will reflection bring?
Yeah, with the reflection, we can get the schema directly from a running node. So you don't have to know where the proto files and the download proto files. You just make a gRPC request to Node, and you get all of the schema. So I can generate all of everything from RNode directly without protofiles. This is the next step in the library.
So you can generate the client code with the gRPC call.
Yeah, you just make the first gRPC call because this reflection API is just another service method or another service on gRPC. So
I just tried to figure out how is it helping to write code for the end users.
You don't have to have protofiles. You can really use any existing tool which can read schema directly from the gRPC server.
So schema is not a set of protofiles.
Yeah, it's really like a protofiles. Yeah, but it's not in the format of protofiles. It's just they call this descriptors. Like you have this file descriptors or type descriptors, something like that. And with these descriptors, you have all of these definitions, right? You get all of the fields, or for service, you get all of the service methods and the input and output types and everything what is written in protofiles.
Okay, Dan Conley just commented. Oh, let's break the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to get more into that reflection part, because is it supported by IDEs, text editors, so it's more simple for developers to figure out what calls methods are available.
Yeah, definitely. Although all of these protobuf generators and everything are horrible. So we will definitely need some kind of library in between. I think.
Okay, so your point is that this heavy lifting can be done with your library, which can be that middleware.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about for example, handling errors, because now when we have all of these responses, right? They have errors inside, but you can also have errors in the connection, and this kind of error will not be inside the message. So I always like to put the errors in the same way are other errors. You have promise which returns this response without error inside, because if you have error inside, you must handle two errors, which is difficult, and it's much easier when some libraries just fix this. So I will convert response errors to promise errors.
Yeah, I see. Another question, I tried to convert this new API into the open API format and to upload into a Swagger. I didn't have a chance to finish this, but maybe you have some understanding on this. Can be the return format of like every gRPC is returning one of two types. So can this be a problem? Sorry?
When the field is not required, when you have different options for returning, right?
Yes, the return type can be both types. It can be either error, either the actual return payload. So I wonder if this can cause some problems. For example, with my with my case, when I try to convert this API into OpenAPI stuff and deploy it as a RESTful, put a Envoy proxy in front and ship this API as a RESTful service. I haven't tried yet when I tried to do this, but I just want to know if you have some thoughts on this.
So when you use this standard, when you use this Envoy proxy that they built for this translation, you're not getting the REST API, right? You need some kind of another proxy that will convert gRPC HTTP to REST HTTP.
There is a tooling, gRPC gateway, that I'm using to convert stuff. Okay, I see that you wasn't trying to do that, so I won't.
Yeah, but I have this thing in mind, because you know, when if you think about well, now I was chatting with Dominic, and he was explaining to me this new API for Arch events, where we will be able to access blocks and history of execution, right? And this API is created on HTTP endpoint, and it uses WebSockets. So it's for me, this is like a little confusing, because I think on API just as like some kind of interface with some kind of methods and types, and the protocol is something you don't care about, right? If this is gRPC or HTTP or WebSockets or whatever, right? You're just interested in the schema of API. And it would be nice that, you know, in RNode you have this schema of APIs, and you have different protocols to connect, right? So you have all the one API definition, and you just generate protofiles, JSON schema, Open API schema, and whatever, you know, and then you can offer different protocols for each of these like schemas, or you know.
Yeah. So Tomislav, could you stop sharing and I will share?
Yeah, sure.
So basically, this is what I was thinking about as well, and I used this library gRPC gateway to convert proto definitions into with Proto-C compiler and tools into the Open API definition that you can upload to every Swagger API viewer, for example, or on this readme.io they have API reference where you can list your API, which would be nice.
Okay.
So I just have a feeling that where is it? That this type, when node returns, node return type is not specified. It can be one of different types. I'm bothering that this may cause problems with translating gRPC API into RESTful API, JSON API.
Oh, you're referring to this new response type that has error or
yes,
or the result, right?
Yes.
But you don't have something special in this type. This type just has two fields, and you don't know which field is required, which is not, and which is populated or not.
So is it actually two fields? Because I'm not sure about gRPC, how it will translate. I guess I just should try. But one of message is confused me, because it can be or this type, either this type.
So let me share the definition of but where's the new API? It's not here. But this response types. Oh, they define one-off. So
Yeah.
Do you know how this is translated to OpenAPI?
No. And that's the question. That's the question, and I have a gut feeling that this translates not really well. So basically, before trying to break things, we should try how is it translating into the JSON API. If it is not, so maybe there is a way to code it in a way that's good.
I'm not sure that with protobuf you have any other way to define this. I was reading that in proto version 2 they have some kind of required like a keyword to say, and then in proto 3 you don't have this kind of stuff. Because you don't know.
I remember that previously it was just a string and block info. So why should you have one of messages? Cannot you have just both messages in the response? Why you should have this one-off message part?
Oh, you mean just define these two fields without one-off?
Yes.
This one-off, they use this to correctly serialize the message. So if you set one field, if you have this one-off, if you set one field, this other field should be deleted, or not. It should be not serialized in the message. So if you don't have one-off, that it means that both of these things can be defined in the same time. Yeah, and the question is how this is translated to OpenAPI. And
yeah, so I will do this in, I guess, today or tomorrow. So we'll see.
And do you know how to connect? Because I was having trouble to understand and to make it work. When you generate something, then you need to run it. You need to use other tool or library to create a protocol layer. So I'm not sure how this is generated with OpenAPI. You have this gateway, right? Envoy gateway will.
Yes, you have code generated in JavaScript, I guess, that translates in Envoy proxy that translates your HTTP calls to the gRPC calls. It generates this middleware server for you.
I see. I'm interested if this is going to work.
Okay, I will try and tell you the Discord. Do we have anything on the agenda? Because we're
I think it's time to close because I have to get to something else.
I just wanted to mention to Tomislav, our Tuesday, our normal RNode testing session, we've changed that or rebranded it to a wallet development and testing. So this past Tuesday, Arvin, who is a Chinese front-end developer, was on
the session and we discussed my RChain wallet. So Arvin's working on the front end, and he has the domain myrchainwallet.com. So he'll have something to demonstrate to us in 1 or 2 weeks. So we were hoping this coming Tuesday, if you're available, perhaps you could join us for our first session of wallet development and testing, and we'll get everyone who has been involved with wallet development over the past year, get all of our minds together to kind of to work out the details of a working wallet, my RChain wallet. So so you're certainly invited to join us on Tuesday.
Yeah, I will definitely join, and I will try to make some examples for him to easier integration with RNode.
Right. So he had several questions regarding the back end and integration with this front end. We did our best to try to answer them, but ultimately we kept saying that's a question for Tomislav. So right. So yeah, so it should be a good session with everyone there.
Yeah, and this is exactly what we want, right? To others to create like UIs and just easy way to communicate with RNode and build their applications.
Right. So the idea is that RChain will not be creating wallets. They do not. RChain doesn't want the liability if something goes wrong. So the idea is it's a third party creates a wallet. It's open sourced, and that removes the liability from RChain.
Yeah. And everyone can create their own wallet if they want, right?
Exactly. Yes, and then it'll just grow from there.
Yeah.
Great. Well, this was a good session.
Yeah, there are actually multiple wallet efforts. I think KuCoin is trying to create one of their own, and then there is, I think Tomislav, I don't know if Ian Bloom spoke with you about this. I know he spoke to NutZipper about some hook into MetaMask, I guess, for transfer. Did he contact you or no?
No, it didn't.
Oh, because you were away, I guess he didn't get around to that. But that's something he was anxious to talk to you about. Maybe we can schedule that and see. So you're available to normally, right now it is 11:20 Eastern. What's your availability generally?
Yeah, I'm available usually in that time.
Like now onwards or before now or?
Yeah, a few hours before and a few hours later. That's completely fine.
All right. Yeah, maybe I can have him talk to you about his idea, and then we can see what makes sense there.
Yeah. And I will also create a sample how to create a browser extension and use this connection to RNode, because this is also interesting to create.
Okay, good. Yes. Looking forward to seeing that.
The link that Jim put there is the one. Dan Finlay link is the one that Ian was trying to see how we could use that for what we need to do.
Yeah, if you connect, this will use MetaMask, and we can use all this signing, which I think is somewhat compatible with RNode. All these signing features in RNode it can be borrowed from MetaMask. So we can, sign type data, for example. So this is the base, we might be able to leverage these features is the idea.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because now I don't know for what they are using all of this signing, because we only need signing for deploy, right?
Well, we need to deploy to do anything, right?
Yeah. But do we need some other way, other things to sign? For what all of this signing is used on this page?
Yeah. I don't know if you may not need it. I mean, if you can have other signing working, I mean, it might be convenient to have applications that, I mean, we still have the RSign application, which needs some update, which lets us sign messages. But, you know, if we can, if this gets updated to do deploys, it can make writing apps, RChain apps, very easy.
Yeah.
Idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's.
So, I mean, Jim, are you saying that basically we'll have to create something like that for our chain? Is that what would be useful?
Well, we don't need to. I mean, you know, my Ether wallet works with or without MetaMask, and the same thing with my RChain wallet. We can, if we look at my RChain wallet.com. Okay, and I know this is what Arvin's doing. He's I guess it's in cooperation with the with some of the Chinese community. I know Dimworm was so in this example. Okay, obviously your private key needs to be kept somewhere. It could be in a file, it could be in an ID, or we could use the RSign the RSign
like extension, right?
Extension, and it could be that we could use MetaMask. You know, I don't know how MetaMask might give us some of the most of the functionality we need, besides the deploy, which we need. We need to deploy and we need to listen for a result, right?
Yeah, yeah, and this should also this should all be packaged in extension, right? Why not? I mean,
right.
Yeah.
But you know, the basic capability probably should not require an extension.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Extension should just be another copy of how you communicate with RNode. Because with extension we can do much more, right? We can maybe make a sample on YouTube that you can sponsor some videos and maybe vote on the videos and you know, give some revs for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we can do a web4.js.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and connect to Discord and connect robots to RNode more easily, right?
Right.
This kind of stuff.
Okay, folks.
All right.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Yep. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
All right.